Retire early, that's the dream for many and the reality for the likes of former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, who at the age of 36 says he is now considering retirement from boxing. Though triggered by the fatal death of his close friends and team members, it's also drawn attention to the business of boxing, with top fighters like AJ and Jake Paul generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. To follow the money flowing through this sector and share strategies for growth, highlighting opportunities for local promoters and fighters, we have News Central's team lead of sports, Tunde Koiki, and CEO of Gloves Promotion, Saleh Fawaz. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
And I'll begin with you, Tunde. Just how lucrative is the business of boxing globally? And how does it even compare with what is playing out within the sector locally?
Well, boxing has always been one of the most lucrative sports, considering the fact that it's a one-man sport. And if you do it right, you get the right promoters, get the right backing behind you, the right machinery, and you also have talent to back up exactly what it is that you also put in place in the administrative side. It can be quite lucrative. We've seen some of the best boxers in the world walk away with 8-figure, 7-figure checks. And over the course of their lifetime, people like Canelo Alvarez are quite, I think he's almost clocking $1 billion in terms of purse earnings right now. So yeah, I mean, how many people can actually claim to have earned $1 million in the entirety of their career? So yeah, boxing can be profitable. It can be lucrative, but it basically depends on the kind of structure that you put on behind you. You must have an excellent promoter who puts you in the right fight, in the right position to make that kind of money. And also, you must have the talent to back it up. In boxing, there's something known as a hype job. A boxer who is basically all fluff and no stuff. Basically, somebody whose his mouth can write checks that his hands cannot cash. That's another one for you. But it's important that you must marry all three together in order for it to be lucrative.
Interesting. And you've answered a bit of the next question about what needs to be in place and what does it take to maximize earnings within the sector. So I'll come to you, Saleh. What would you say are some of the elements that determine just how much money can be made from the sports, the streams of flows, just outside of the gloves itself and stepping into the ring? What are some of the opportunities to make money within that sports?
Well, obviously there are different ways to revenue streams, if you like, when it comes to boxing outside the gloves, like you rightly said. Obviously, they are pay-per-view is an example, sponsorship is an example. But you see, it all starts with getting the system right, getting the system right. The foundation the system of boxing in the country has to be developed, changed, the infrastructure. All those basic elements are important first and foremost before we get into the revenue stream. It's easy for us to tell you, for example, the revenue streams like pay-per-view, sponsorship, ticket sales, and all that stuff. But you see, to get there, we need to actually, develop the system, change a bit of the system, and change the whole image of the sport so that we can get to those discussions.
And given what's happening here in Nigeria, I mean, you are a player in that sector. Where are we at with boxing in Nigeria?
Well, I think, in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of development, more promoters, more events, more boxing shows, more contents, more opportunities and platforms for boxers to showcase their talent and to excel in their careers. I think we're on the right track, but I still think that a lot of work needs to be done with the system, with the foundation, with the basic infrastructure, so that we can push even further. But yeah, 10 years ago and 5 years ago and today, there's a big difference in boxing in terms of reach, in terms of exposure, and in terms of the type of events and type of fights and type of boxing that you're seeing in the country these days. So there's an improvement. It's important to give credit where it's due. There's an improvement in terms of events, like I said, in terms of number of bouts, and those are important elements to push boxing forward. But we still have a lot of work to do. I think we have years and years of work to still do.
Years and years of work, and I see Tunde nodding to that. And obviously there's massive revenue generated by the international boxing events like Joshua versus Paul. Yeah. You have spoken on the structures, the infrastructure that needs to go into, into place for us to see that growth. Let's dwell on that a bit more. What is on ground in terms of structure, infrastructure? What more needs to be done, and where are these donations going to come from, or where are these, is it grants or the funding, where is it going to come from?
So are you talking domestically or internationally?
Domestically.
Right. So with the coming of new players like Saleh mentioned, it has increased the space, it has made it more viable. International streaming platforms like The Zone have also entered into Nigeria, which now begins to give the country more visibility. There are also big-time players in the promotion, the likes of Amir Khan, former world champion as well. He also has a structure behind him that also allows him to bring in the money and the funding that is required. So we're seeing better shows, we're seeing better quality boxers. But unfortunately, there is still this stigma around local boxing in Nigeria that is beginning to change. There's this belief that boxing is, it's a violent sport, in quote. It's a sport for...
It is.
Well, Taekwondo is also violent, right? Karate is also violent.
Boxing?
Yeah? Jiu-jitsu is also violent. But you still see parents who allow their children to do Taekwondo, Jiu-jitsu, but to not never let them do boxing. But the attitudes are beginning to change. When you have celebrities taking on boxing. I mean, you see on Instagram, you see people like Funke Akindele taking on, also getting into boxing as well. Other celebrities are also. So the attitudes are changing about boxing. It teaches quite a lot. Self-discipline, is also an excellent form of fitness. So now, once the mentality begins to change, now the money begins to come in. People want to see boxing. We saw the celebrity fights between, I think, Portable and what's his name again? The other gentleman, Charles Okocha. Now that also garnered a lot of interest. These are the kind of things that can begin to drive the kind of eyeballs, the kind of investment that people want to see. Now, when they move away from the celebrity boxers, they want to see the actual boxers, the professionals, do their thing. So the money will never really come from Nigeria. It has to come from internationally first. Has already been done by the likes of American promotions, and possibly we might see maybe MVP Jake Paul might even come to Nigeria. He's already signed the Nigerian boxer Elizabeth Oshoba as well. So it is those people that to show. Unfortunately, that has been the story of Nigerian business. Outsiders come into this country and show us the value of what we have, and that is when people will now begin to jump on the bandwagon. I'm all for it, as long as it can improve the profile of boxing.
All right, then I guess so am I. Though it's a violent sport.
I'd like to see you in the ring, actually.
I wouldn't. I'm coming to you now, Saleh. Yes, international interest is garnering, but there's also the need for grassroots development. So let us into how important grassroots development in Nigerian boxing is, and what initiatives can be implemented to identify and then nurture young talents within the country.
Yeah, it's a good point you're making, because, I said earlier that the foundation, the system is very important. It's a very big task, a very big project that we have. That's why I also said years and years. It's very important that we focus as well on grassroots, not just professional boxing, because there has to be a bridge, if you like, from grassroots boxing all the way to professional boxing. The infrastructure I mentioned earlier is very important, because it's part of what these boxers use, these talents use to train. Also from the promotional side of things, we don't have like a standard boxing event center in the country. We have to, make use of the event centers, the beautiful ones that we have, and make it into a boxing arena. We don't. So all these things make a very big difference in terms of the status of boxing in the country. You need proper gyms, you need proper training, proper plan for these boxers, all the way from grassroots to professional boxing. At the same time, when you get to professional boxing, promoters like myself and others in the country, we struggle a lot in selecting venues and all that, because we don't have international standard boxing event centers, for example, in the country. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And right now, it's not just about the government putting funds into it. I mean, there's individuals have to put funds into it. Corporate sponsors as well. It's like a whole ecosystem. The whole ecosystem of the sport has to move hand in hand. Otherwise, there'll be a loophole here and there. It has to be a project that we all put hands together, collaborate together, build infrastructure, do the right events, be consistent. So it's very important to understand that it's not just the promotional side of things, it's also the boxer side of things. So everything has to enhanced from grassroots all the way to professional boxing, including the events itself.
Indeed, and hopefully, those investors, beyond just passion, they also see the returns in time to come. I'm coming down to you, Tunde, and looking at the opportunities. We've seen a lot of, big names, rooted in Nigeria, one way or the other, Nigerian, British, whatever, but they have Nigerian blood within them. Yeah. So what opportunities are there for Nigerian boxers to compete internationally, and how can they make the most of some of these opportunities to gain exposure and experience?
Well, Saleh can bear me witness. The amount of talent in Nigeria is enormous. And over the last few years, over the last 2 decades, I think everybody has finally realized that not every Nigerian man can play football. And even not every Nigerian woman can play football. There are those who just like to fight. That's the honest truth. Some parents even recognize the fact that maybe my son is a bit more rambunctious than usual, so he just likes to fight. So now they're beginning to channel that energy into a more structured fighting environment than either the school playground than the streets. So the opportunities will continue to increase because of the entrance of streaming, social media. For instance, I know a boxer, the current light heavyweight champion of Nigeria and West Africa. He met his current manager on Facebook. This was an automobile mechanic who was training in the most rudimentary, most Spartan of environments. He was punching trees and tires. And the manager saw him and liked what he saw. The manager is based all the way in California, Los Angeles, and he saw someone halfway across the world in Nigeria. Today, this man has a record of, 18 fights, 18 wins, 17 knockouts, all because of a social media connection. So this continues to show the possibilities that exist for Nigerian boxers. As for international collaborations, Nigerian boxers continue to show promise and ability and skill. Many of them also getting international deals. The problem is the value placed on these Nigerians are too low. When they're offering you $3,000, $5,000 to come and fight in Russia, whereas your European counterpart will be getting 10 times that. So the value also needs to increase in terms of the quality of promotion that they're getting, the quality of legal representation, and also the amount of work that they put into honing their craft. Only then can they begin to attract bigger and better deals. But if you ask me, and I'm telling you now, the prospects are enormous and they're particularly life-changing.
Indeed, and promising. I'm coming down to you, Saleh, as we tie things together. There are the opportunities, obviously, but how can we sort of package, or how can the sports be packaged in a way to give it more visibility, more value, attract more revenue? What needs to be done? How can social media itself also be harnessed?
Yeah, right now at this phase, I think collaboration is very important. Collaboration between serious individuals in the boxing circle. Obviously, it's a competitive business where you have different promoters, doing their part. But I think at the phase, we shouldn't forget the main objective. The main objective is to get Nigerian boxing to the top. We're on the way there, but we have a lot of work to be done. And the most realistic way for it to actually happen is for us to have a lot of collaborations. Networking and collaboration will take us quicker and push us further. I don't think at this stage it's about individual work or something like that. I think collaboration is very important at this stage. Put hands together and then push the agenda forward and push the Nigerian flag forward. Because like Tunde said, we have enormous talent. This is a country with 250 million population. And I've said this years ago that combat sports is the most realistic chance of Nigeria becoming world champions in sports. If you look at it very well, the chances are bigger for Nigeria to be
not even football?
No. Huh. No, not football. Not football. Saleh can bear me witness. Remember in UFC, there was a time we had 2 Nigerians who were world champions in 2 separate divisions, Kamal Usman and Israel Adesanya. We also have a Nigerian-born boxer of Nigerian heritage, Anthony Joshua, who was 2-time world champion. How many Nigerian footballers have ever been world champion? Nigeria's never won the FIFA World Cup.
So combat sports over football.
Exactly.
Interesting. I'll give you 30 seconds to tie your thoughts together, Saleh.
Yes, and in terms of social media that you mentioned, it's very, very important. Social media played a huge role in the 5 years that I mentioned in the growth of boxing. Social media played a massive role, actually. And I think we lacked a lot in that at the beginning, and then people realized how important it is to be active on social media. And it's all marketing as well for the boxers and for the promotion.
Well, at least Nigerians don't like to carry last, so let's see how we're able to champion in this sport. Thank you so much for your time and perspective, Saleh Fawaz, CEO, Saleh Gloves Promotion, and sports editor Tunde Koiki. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.